And behind them here. So join me in welcoming a bunch of beautiful people.
I don't remember the name of, there's a con here that I came to. Is it Armadillo Con? Okay. So this is the first time I've been to Austin since Armadillo Con 1999.
Wow.
Which I showed up to, they had invited me to be there, but I hadn't actually had any books published yet. I'd gotten the sale, but it hadn't actually come out. And I'd gotten the sale like 3 weeks before, but they wanted me to come down. And so here I am at my first convention, you know, and they put me in a panel with Patrick Nielsen Hayden, the editor of Tor, with Glenn Cook, who writes the Black Company series and the Garrett Private Eye novels, and with Neil Gaiman, and me. And the title of the panel was "Books That Needed a Better Editor." And I'm there, you know, I'm sitting there, and you know, I'm like in my late 20s maybe. And there's all these other people who are professionals in the industry for, you know, with years of experience under their belt. So I'm just keeping my mouth shut because that seems like, you know, it's a smart thing to do. But Neil's not having that. So, you know, we're about 45 minutes in, and then Neil kind of leans over at one point and says, "You know, excuse me, Jim, you've been here this entire time, and you haven't had a thing to say, and I would really be interested in hearing what you have to say about this subject." And I was like, "Nah, I'm the new guy, you guys don't need to hear from me." And they're like, no, we really want to hear from you. Who do you think needed a better editor? I'm like, "The Lord of the Rings doesn't really start until page 202 in And so, and I had like a good 2 minutes of rant on it, you know, to explain my position. And man, Patrick Nielsen Hayden, who's like the most awarded editor in fantasy, just blew up at me. He tore me apart because I didn't know how to argue with people. So. But anyway, so that was my last visit to Austin.
This will be a better one.
Yeah. Well, so far so good. We're on the right track so far. But anyway, what I don't usually show up and you know, give speeches. I'm not very good at that. I like to talk to people. So I'd like to just do a question and answer for them, and I'll give you answers. I don't promise to give you true answers. Bear in mind that I am an unreliable narrator. But if you got questions for it to work, somebody has to ask a question. Thank you. Very brave.
If it's not a spoiler, can you tell us the name of the new little intellect spirit? Because I really want to know.
Can you tell us the name of the new little intellect spirit? Because she really wants to know. Yeah, her name is Bonea. It's the Scottish name for beautiful, and it also the first 4 letters spell bone, and Harry's just not sophisticated in his sense of humor. So she's living in a skull, Bonea. He calls her Bonnie, and Bonnie does a lot of hanging out with Maggie. Because like Bonnie's like super smart, but she doesn't know how anything relates to anything else. She's like, she has like zero real world experience at all, you know. So she gets to have conversations like, you know, Harry walks in and Bonnie and Maggie are cooking in the kitchen, and Bonnie gets to say, "Pancakes are inanimate." Okay, Bonnie, good job. That was a good observation, but it takes a while to build up a bob. I mean, it takes centuries to build a bob. So. Yes.
I've been waiting for a short story from the POV of Mouse.
Uh-huh.
Is it in the works? Or?
Is there a short story from the POV of Mouse? And is it in the works? It's not in the works, it's in your hand. Yeah, the last story is Harry taking his daughter to the zoo for their first day as a father-daughter doing things, and he's kind of nervous about it. And of course everything goes wrong, and then we do the story again from Maggie's point of view, and you get to see all the things that Dresden didn't know were happening in the story. And then after Maggie's story, then you get the story from Mouse's point of view, and you get to find out who's the real hero around here. But yeah, I mean, I had to do that. I mean, I've been waiting for that for a long time. Back here.
In the Reddit AMA on Friday, someone asked who the people that were trapped at Arctis Tor had to have ticked off to get trapped there. And you said the better question is who ticked off the custodian. Who is the custodian?
Oh, no, that wasn't a question about Arctis Tor. That was a question about Demon Reach.
Oh, and that's the warden then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Right now it's Harry. I mean, at the moment. Yeah.
So, how soon are we going to see Harry's next encounter with John Marcone, and how do you think that's going to go, given that John has actually played a pretty big role in defending Chicago while Harry wasn't?
Right. How are we gonna? When are we gonna see Marcone again? And what kind of role is he gonna be playing, given that he's been like actually defending the city when Dresden wasn't around? We get more of him in the next book, you know, which I'm working on as soon as I'm not doing, you know, this. And there's more to it than that. And Marcone has gotten a lot of respect from people. You know, at this point, I mean, Marcone took down Nicodemus Arcleone. I mean, that's kind of stuff that everybody goes, "Damn, kid!" All right, you know, that's been sort of the response from people. But I mean, he's not a very nice guy. But I really enjoyed reading the story though. In the audiobook, I'm the one who reads Marcone. So. Yeah.
What is the next full-length novel?
Next full-length novel will be out as soon as I write it. But now that I have an office again and I can like actually do things again, and as soon as I'm not done doing this, then I'm going to be able to just go back home and stay in my house and not see people, and just work with imaginary people who are way easier to get along with. Mostly. Right here, black shirt.
When's the next time we're going to see Cal? And if it's not too much of a spoiler, when's his birthday?
When's the next time we'll see Cal? I don't know when his birthday is. He's cagey about that. When's the next time we're going to see Cal? The last I remember, he was pretty much dead. I mean, he's probably gone. Don't worry about it.
What's the status of the death curse and Lord Wraith, given what happened at the end of Changes and the extension of the Bloodline?
Okay, it wouldn't have jumped up to, okay, what's the condition of Lord Wraith, and what about the curse that he was under, you know, the death curse he was under, and has that changed since the events of Changes, because there was a lot of different things going on, but it wouldn't have gone any farther than Thomas. Monster blood doesn't count as far as that magic spell went, because they were designing a spell to kill humans, so it was gonna follow humans around, But basically that, I mean, nothing's really changed except that he's just worse and worse and worse and worse, and Lara's just enjoying the hell out of it. You know, I mean, because she's just running more and more and more, and basically just telling him to go to his room and bring him out for public events, you know. But I haven't looked over this way for a while. Right here.
Will we ever find out who Kincaid's father is?
Find out who Kincaid's father is? Maybe? Maybe. I don't know. We might get to it in the spin-off somewhere. That's possible. I mean, it's not really a big enough part of the Dresden Files to spend a lot of things on. You know, somebody like Kincaid's heritage, especially because we're getting towards the end of the series here, and I've got a lot to do. You know, I mean, I've got a lot of things to be able to wrap up the story. But it's possible we'll get to it like when I do a spin-off afterwards. So, back here in the red.
So if Harry hadn't become the Winter Knight, what would his second choice have been?
If Harry hadn't become the Winter Knight?
Yeah, when he's taking on the...
Oh, right, yeah. If he hadn't become the Winter Knight, he could have done a couple of things. He could have picked up one of the coins. He could have, because he could have summoned Lashiel's coin to him if he wanted to. And he could have, used the Dark Hallow from Kemmler's book and become Uber Necromancer. So at that point in the series, I wasn't quite sure what he was going to do, but I did know that whatever choice he was going to make, it was going to change the theme of the series pretty significantly. So yeah, I mean, you know, Harry the Necromancer would be that'd be a hell of a series, but he'd probably do necromancy before he messed with the coins again. Yeah. You know, so yeah, right.
I finished reading Big Visit, and I've read everything else in the book already when they originally came out. Are we going to see Austin again? Because he seems like a really interesting character.
Are we going to see Austin from the short story in this book, if you haven't read it? I'm not going to spoil you or anything, but maybe not. He could probably pop up as a minor person somewhere down the line. But I mean, for the short story stuff, you know, I try and get the new actors and give them a chance to do something, you know, and then because I'm always trying to grab some new characters and saying, okay, is there a character here that's going to take off? And if there is, then I want to use them. Yeah, that's about it. But let's go over here. Glasses.
So if and when you get the books adapted again, what would the ideal medium be, and who would you like involved in like fantasy version?
Okay, if I did what?
If you got the books adapted into visual media again.
Oh, adapted to a different medium. I think I'd want to do the Dresden Files as an animated series. More than anything else. Because in an animated series, you know, you can burn down Chicago and it costs you just as much as not burning down Chicago. Yeah, I mean, you know, well, but you know, there is sort of a history, you know, Chicago. But, I'm sorry. I laugh at myself sometimes. Yeah, here.
So, what are you reading? What are you enjoying reading these days?
Let's see. Right now, I'm doing a lot of reading of the stuff my apprentice is putting out. That would be my son James. He's getting pretty close. I think maybe his next book will do it. He might even be able to sell the last one that he wrote. He wrote a really good series, and it's great because he's got a really good imagination, better than mine. He's really good with the witty dialogue, better than me. Well, because he's had training, you know. We've been like insulting each other for years and years. But yeah, I've been reading a lot of him. But when I'm not reading his stuff, let's see. Robert B. Parker is still a major influence on me. He's sort of my hero as a writer. He wrote the Spencer series of private eye novels. He wrote 80 or 85 novels, something like that, and he died here a couple years ago. Died at the keyboard writing his next novel. Like a man. I want to do that. Yeah.
Finish the series first.
Yeah, well, you know, eventually. They'll get somebody to ghostwrite me. Here in the back.
So, Butters pointed out that Harry can heal basically come back from almost anything given enough time. Does the winter mantle enhance that? So he's burning his metabolism. It seems like it's just upping his metabolism, removing all the governors essentially. But is that upping his actual metabolism and healing? So would you see him recover the bone fractures go away? Or is it just an illusion to him? Where it just removes all the governors, there's no metabolic.
Okay, well, I'm not going to tell you if it's an illusion or not, because that'll ruin everything. But, you know, points for trying. That said, mainly, yeah, the summer mantle is really a lot better at putting you back together afterwards. The winter mantle is mostly concerned with you making the other guy put himself back together. You know, that's really what it's mostly for. Harry is like an all-offense champion. You know, you don't buy defensive items on him. That's my League of Legends addiction showing for a second. But yeah, I mean, he can heal from just about anything. As long as it doesn't kill him, as long as he survives long enough to start recovering, you know, he can heal back eventually. The mantle doesn't help him with that, but it does help him not know that he's been hurt. You know, so. Yeah.
So you answered a couple questions about the J Court and the AMA. I had one other question about them. What do they feed on?
I'm debating because I'm not going to tell you. It's such a great thing to say. No, I'll just go ahead and tell you. They feed on breath.
Breath?
Yeah, one of those guys can kill you from the hotel across the street. You'll never know what was happening. So, yeah. Here. Hi.
Thanks for coming back to Austin.
Oh, you're welcome.
And now that your house is finally built, have you gotten a chance to really enjoy it? What's your favorite part of it?
My house? My kitchen. I have gotten so territorial over my kitchen, capital letters. You know, my fiance will come in and I'll be like, okay, Kitty, I've got the kitchen set up. This is its natural state. It's clean. Okay? If you do anything here to disrupt the natural state, put it back. This is for the environment. And she's very amused because I'm not like a very organized or neat or kitchen-y person. But now I've got this kitchen and everything in it works, and it's all within easy reach, and I'm cooking things. And yeah, I'm learning the cooking things now. But yeah, my mom came up to visit, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make some dinner. She's like, oh, I'll help. I'm like, no, you won't. Get out of my kitchen. You're my guest. You will sit down and enjoy yourself. I will permit you to sit at the edge of the kitchen and have conversation with me if you wish. Just don't distract me because, you know, these are really good steaks, okay? Yeah.
with the exception of, possible exception of Harry, who is your favorite character to write?
Who's my favorite character to write? It's kind of a toss-up, sort of depending on what kind of mood I am and how badly I wish I could murder someone. But Mab is always a lot of fun to write. Just because she is a villain and she literally doesn't care. And she is just not concerned with whatever nonsense it is that you are occupied with. She's doing important things and you need to get with the program. And it's just so fun to write a person like that. Butters is always a lot of fun. Really any of the knights are a lot of fun to write. Bob the Skull, he's my inner 14-year-old without any filters. I love writing that. So, yeah, right here.
Yeah, so I read Cold Case last night. Am I allowed to be mad at you?
She read Cold Case last night. Is she allowed to be mad at me? I would be a little disappointed if you weren't.
Are you going to give us more of her point of view so that we can get past that?
Get more of Molly's point of view?
Please?
So she can get past it?
No, I can get
past it. You can get past it. When's the last time I wrote something that really just helped you recover? It's the last time I did something horrible to you. Yeah, right here.
It seems like loneliness in the Dresden Files is a pretty big theme. The longer Harry spends alone, the more kind of dark stuff gets. Does that reflect on your experience as a writer?
No. It seems loneliness is a theme, and the more isolated Harry gets, the darker he gets. And does that reflect my experience as a writer? No. It reflects my experience as a human being. Yeah, too much alone time is no bueno, and I'm somebody who loves my alone time, and I occasionally. Kitty just basically has to grab me by the collar and drag me out kicking and screaming to socialize, and have fun. So, over here. Yeah.
The dragon in the third book, it's never come back, and it's really bothered me.
Dude, it's like this huge series of books, man. I mean, okay, I'm just gonna say this: have some faith in me. If not in my diabolical plotting, at least in my innate sense of laziness that makes me want to use things I've already done the work for. But yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. When I was writing the Dresden Files, the major influence on plotting the events of the Dresden Files was Babylon 5. Yeah, I mean, I watched Babylon 5 start to finish by the week, had it on my videotapes with the commercials not recorded. I mean, I was hardcore about Babylon 5. But one of the things I liked most about it was, you got to the end of season 5 before like the last episode of season 5, before you tied off some of the plot hooks that got started in season 1. I was just like, oh, I want to do that. That would be so cool. So yeah, there's a dragon in book 3. Like book 20, I think, maybe. But I mean, I refuse to make dragons lightweights. Dragons should be way more epic than that. And I don't want there to be, not a sky full of dragons, there's just a few dragons. When one of them shows up, everybody craps their pants. That's the way it works. But I get to have him show up in the next one because he's going to be at the peace talks. So, yeah, that's let's go over here.
Other than Babylon 5, are there any other stories that have those kind of long-running plots that you really admire?
Let me think. For well-plotted stuff, the first 6 seasons or so of Game of Thrones, I guess, is awfully good. Altered Carbon was pretty good. I like that. Westworld that is one of the most intricately plotted things I've seen. I thought it sucked when I was watching it through the first time until we got to the end, and then I got to go back and rewatch and see how everything tied in, and I was like, oh, they didn't suck, they were just better than me. So I mean, you gotta take those lessons, and so your head doesn't get too big. Yeah, right here.
Are we ever going to get any more of the Codex Alera universe?
Are we gonna get any more Codex Alera? I don't have anything like on the drawing board right now. I've got a couple of different points I could go back into the story. One of them is to go back like 150 years later, so you see all the fallout from what the characters in the first series did, And then because they spent the entire first series fighting the Zerg, we have to have them fight the Protoss. For the I just rip things off, man. I don't mean to, I just don't realize it until after I'm already done. Then I go, oh, yeah, that's what you did. And then the other place I could go back is I could go back to the next class of cursors that are graduating from the academy that Aaron is running and Fidelius is the headmaster of. He's Dumbledore. And it would be like the first class of new cursors, so it would be like the first Canum cursor, the first Marat cursor, and like that. And Aaron would have to ride herd on them, and they would drive him insane. And that would be a lot of fun as well. Yes. But let's see, somebody you haven't got yet. Back here.
So I was a really big fan of the Spider-Man novel that you wrote.
Thank you.
Thank you. And also the Dresden Files of comic books. And I was actually wondering, is there a chance we'll see a Codex Alera graphic novel? And if you could write another novel based on any comic book character, which one would you choose?
If I could write another novel, okay, I'm going to start with that one first. If I could write another novel based on a comic book character, what would I choose? Spider-Man again. Or I could probably do Thor or Hulk, or excuse me, Thor or Cap. Hulk's never really been my guy. I already have anger management issues. I don't need to, I don't need to get lessons from him. So, what were the other questions? I'm sorry, what?
Codex Alera is a graphic novel.
Oh, Codex Alera's graphic novel? Sounds like a good idea to me. I don't know if it would go anywhere. Yeah, I mean, I would actually, if I was going to do something in a graphic novel format for Codex Alera, I would probably want to do one of the other ones, one of the other stories, and so there would be new story material there. That seems like a better idea. Anyway, right here, yellow shirt.
Are you currently studying any martial arts, and how long did you study Aikido?
Am I currently studying in martial arts, and how long did I study Aikido? I studied Aikido for like 2 weeks. Yeah. Well, no. Aikido is I mean, it's a brilliant martial art. It's beautiful, but it's the martial art that is essentially, how stupid would you like to look? Come at me that hard, and that's what Aikido is kind of about. But it wasn't for me. I was too impatient to be an Aikido guy. I could probably go back and do it now and be better at it, but I wanted the dramatic stuff. I wanted the taekwondo stuff at that time. But yeah, I started off with Goju Shori, or with Ryukyu Kempo, and then Goju Shoryu, and I've done Kung Fu, I've done Taekwondo, I've done a little Aikido, I've done a little Judo, not enough. My ground games are a week right now, so. But there you go. Random questions answered.
Have you made any progress on the second Cinder Spires book?
Have we made any progress on the second Cinder Spires? Oh God, no. I'm still wrestling with peace talks. I mean, I want to get it done. Don't get me wrong, but I'm gonna have to write the next book a little bit shorter or something.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I mean that thing came out. That's the longest thing I've ever written. It took so much of my time. And what? Oh, thank you. Let's see. Let's come back over here some more. Sitting down right here.
So we've seen a lot with the Carpenter family from, say, Charity, Michael, Molly, and Daniel in Ghost Story. How much, if any, are we going to see of the younger children as they grow up, or more recently?
Like here and there. I mean, they really don't want to go out and battle the forces of evil. They mostly want to go to work and then come home and play with the dog. I mean, they're a pretty quiet family. Besides, I mean, Mom and Dad were all into the evil smiting, and that makes it really seem uncool. So. Right behind him, you had a question too.
So I'm curious, because I absolutely love the point of view. When does Molly, if ever, get over pining after Harry, and when does her mental breakdown recover?
When does Molly get over pining after Harry, and when does her mental breakdown recover? Yeah, it would be so tough for her to disengage from that without, taking extreme measures like saying, I just don't want to be human anymore. I mean, it would be tough for as long as, it's not going to last for forever, obviously, because that kind of thing, it doesn't. And when is she going to recover? It's so adorable. You think people are going to get better. No, I mean, she's She actually is. She actually has recovered quite a bit, I think, as this story starts from her time as the Ragged Lady. She's been running business for MAB, and there's a story in this collection about exactly what kind of business she's been running. And it could have been something that could really have broken her, but she's sort of turned it around and sort of saying, okay, you know what? Yeah, I am rounding up all these kids and taking them to war, but you know what? These are my kids, and I'm going to teach them to crush everyone in their path. So that's a little bit more. She is becoming more assertive and more confident as she goes. But yeah, poor Molly. I pick on her so much.
Yeah, you do.
I know, like more than anybody but Harry himself. So, yeah, right here.
So if Harry hadn't encountered Asheville's coin, which coin do you think would have been your next favorite coin for him to encounter?
Oh, if Harry hadn't gotten Lashiel's coin, what would have been my next favorite coin? Probably Thornton Namshiel, who could have been like a tutor and teacher and so on. But Thornton Namshiel he's a terrible demon. Not all of the fallen are equal with everybody else. And Thornton Namshiel is just so busy with his nerdy research, he barely has time to torture anyone. So really, the other demons kind of look at him like, well, at least he can fight. Yeah.
I'm curious about the writing process. You go all the way back to, Stormfront. Harry meets the postman at the first, and you find out he's a wizard. It's your fourth book. We meet the fairies and so on. How much of the plot is thought out, right? How much is scaffolded, and how much do you kind of weave in as you go?
Okay. For the series, how much of what I've been writing as I've been going along has been thought out? How much of it was scaffolding? How much of it was meatier content? Well, I'm going to tell you this story. I've been writing for my writing teacher at OU for a number of years, and I've been arguing with her a lot. It's not because I'm argumentative, although I can understand why you would think that, but because I already had my bachelor's degree in English literature with an emphasis in creative writing, whereas she had merely published 40 novels. So, but when I first walked in with the first chapter of Stormfront and put it on her desk. Now, bear in mind that she was a teacher who had it in her head that she was going to prepare students for the real world, and when she was giving you criticism, she did not pull punches. That is not how she operated. So her criticism would be everything from I can't believe I didn't fall asleep reading this, to rolling up the chapter, leaning across the desk and popping me on the head with it and asking, what were you thinking? So when I brought in this chapter, I was expecting more of the same, and it said she read it, she puts it down, she looks up and says, you did it. I said, what? She says, you did it. This is going to sell. I don't know if this will be the first thing you sell, but it is of professional quality. And I was like, oh. Okay. And she says, now I want you to come back in next week with an outline for the rest of it. And she meant the rest of the book. But I came back in with an outline for a 20-book series with a brief outline for each book in the series, with a 3-book capstone trilogy to end the thing to finish it all off. And I came back and I put it on her desk, and I remember her looking over it and reading it, and she was confused for a minute, and then finally understood what had happened. And I'm looking at her, and I'm just like, what do you think? And she's been trying so hard for so long to get me on board that I can still, in my memory, see the expression on her face where she's thinking to herself, Wile E. Coyote, just don't look down, I guess. She looks up at me and says, well, I think if you can sell a 20-book series, you should be doing fine. And that was all she said about it, because she didn't tell me it was impossible. I did it. Yeah. Let's see, right here.
Have you ever thought about doing a short story or delving any further into Ivy as like the person versus Ivy as the archive?
Have I thought about diving into, like, in short stories or somewhere else, doing Ivy as a person versus Ivy as the archive, to see a little bit more of her? I can't cover that in a short story. That'll have to be a plot. But we'll see. The problem is, she doesn't have a lot of her own personality. I mean, since she was an infant, she's had access to the amassed knowledge of humanity. It's sort of hard to grow up into your own person with that kind of weight on your shoulders, you know. So she's had a very rough life. But right here, around the corner, hiding.
Hi. Number one, awesome series.
Thank you, sir.
What character's death was most satisfying to write? And which character's death tore you up the most?
Most satisfying death would have to be Harry. That was satisfying to me because I sent the manuscript in at like 4 a.m. or something and went to bed, and then I woke up. I woke up at about 2 p.m. to 5,000 voicemails from my editor. Oh my God! You killed him! You killed him! What are you doing? I'm like, yeah, and now we can do the fun stuff. So yeah. Right here in the corner.
Hey, in Skin Game, Uriel becomes mortal. He gives his grace to Michael. What would have happened if he died? His power.
What would happen to Uriel's power if Michael had died while he was having? Well,
if Uriel had died, if his physical body.
oh, if Uriel had died. Well, somebody was going to be holding his grace. Yeah. Well, looks like you got the job. And that would just be confusing because then there'd be 2 Michaels that were archangels. And you'd say, well, Michael the warrior or Michael the carpenter? Michael the carpenter. You mean like Jesus? No, not the same guy. So it's probably a good thing it worked out the way it did. Red hat right here. Will we be seeing more of Tutu? Of course we see more of Tutu. He just keeps getting bigger. Yeah. Right here.
I kind of had 3 questions that I came up with.
Well, I won't promise to answer them all, but go ahead.
The first one is, how has the Oblivion War progressed from where we last saw it in backup?
Okay, how's the Oblivion War progressed from where we've last seen it in backup? The same way it always has. Nothing happens for 30 years at a time, and then something shows up, and everybody goes crazy backstabbing one another until something's been destroyed or forgotten, or the memory of something has been wiped from somebody's brain by removing the brain. Something like that. I mean, the Oblivion War is something that goes on over time, and if you really wanted to write about it, you would have to write one of those time-skipping series, which would be a lot of fun, but also a lot of research, and I vanished down those rabbit holes way too easy. So, right here.
We've seen more of the old gods coming back in with the Aesir and Odin and the Olympians with Hades. With the rise of the Full War, you're going to see the gods of the Todd and Danny come back in because they're ancient enemies and always been at each other.
Right. So the question was that we've seen a bunch of the other gods, the old gods, sort of reappearing and showing up. Odin's hanging around. So's Hades. Are we going to see the Celtic gods, the Tuatha, show up and because the Fomor are there? I mean, definitely when we get into the BAT, the big ass trilogy, we'll start getting into that a little bit more often. Oh no, we'll see them in 19. Okay, that'd be cool. We'll see somebody from there in 19. I don't know if I can't really do whole pantheons. I'm busy, but we'll see somebody from there. Right here.
Okay, you lay a lot of groundwork for mantles of power throughout the series, but one question that's always bothered me: can someone, even like Harry or Molly, with the permission of Mav or someone else more powerful, can they give up the mantle of power, or can it be taken from them without them dying, or must they die to give up the mantle of power?
Okay, can the mantle of power be taken from like Harry and Molly without killing them, or must they die to give it up? Yeah, I'm not gonna tell you. Right here. Yeah.
Hannah Asher, I had a quick question about her, because obviously you explained that she focused more on fire magic offensively because of Lashio. But is she a full-fledged wizard? Could she have done other magic, or was she a pirate?
She was a Hannah Asher. He's asking about Hannah Asher from Skin Game. She was a pure pyromancer, but a really, really strong one. Like maybe better with fire than Harry. So.
A werewolf of the wizards, essentially. Knows one trick.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Well, I mean, she's a little better than that. I mean, she can do a lot of different things with fire. But fire. Yeah, that's kind of her. Right here in the back.
So, out of any of the series that you've done, what is the hardest idea that you've had to cut and just like leave on the cutting room floor?
What's the hardest idea I've had to cut and leave on the cutting room floor? I've actually got just a file folder that's called Cutting Room, and it's where I drop all the chapters and stuff I have to delete or whatever. I don't know. I work really lean, so I don't usually have a whole lot of cutting room material. It's sort of I kind of front load my writing process because I can't get a chapter written until I can sit down and think through it and see it all in my head. And then I can write the chapter, and it goes very quickly, and I usually don't have to do too many rewrites if I've got it all planned out ahead of time. The problem is sometimes it takes days for me to put that picture together before I can get the chapter written. But yeah, that's kind of how it goes. Right here.
So the big word that gets tossed around nowadays in the fantasy writing is world building. You've got 3 universes under your hat right now. Like, how do you tackle world building? It seems like with Dresden, you built the world through the characters. Like, with each new series you did, like, how did you start tackling world building?
My basic rule of thumb for world building I lifted from Mark Twain. Mark Twain said that if you're writing a fantasy, you've got to have 2 elements that are common that people that are familiar for every 1 element that's weird. I didn't think he said weird. I think he said fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically the idea is whenever I'm doing world building, I try and have a couple of things as part of the world that I know my audience is going to be familiar with for every 1 thing that is going to be new and cool and strange because it's part of the fantasy world. So yeah, Harry's a wizard and can throw unlimited cosmic power around and so on. But at the same time, he's still, he's got car problems and he's got to pay his rent. Yeah. That's stuff that's familiar. That's stuff that my audience is going to know. So, that's how I have to establish him. I establish him, this is like a guy who's just trying to figure out life. In order to be able to make him, kind of a larger than human figure. So, right here.
So, I'm a big fan of Murphy.
Thank you very much.
I love her. Is she a Cubs fan or is she a White Sox fan?
Murphy is more a hockey girl.
Yeah. Okay. But she's worn a Cubs hat and she's worn a White Sox jacket, or vice versa.
Yeah.
So she just has no preference.
Not really.
Okay.
Most of that stuff is stuff that she's gotten from boyfriends and ex-husbands and so on. So, it's like hat. Right here.
I totally forgot my question.
I do that all the time. Think it over. Oh, is somebody back here that can't be seen?
In the hat, yes.
Okay, yeah, you.
So obviously it takes a special kind of person to be a knight of the sword. You've also alluded to past royal bloodline type stuff, but a lot of people who have the swords kind of appear to be typical holders, like Sonny with the saber, Shiro with the katana, Murphy picking up, having judo and stuff. And so my question is, are there particular individual characteristics or quirks almost that the swords kind of use to pick their people that transcend beyond the standard virtue?
Well, see, that's the thing is you don't have to be special to pick up a sword and use it. You got to be special to pick up a sword and use it right. Or at least one of these swords, or we just assume we'll have a capital letter in front of that sword. Let me think here. What the sword looks for more than anything else is sort of the ultimate martial value. The ultimate martial value is love for the people in your life. Because if you love the people who are behind you, that's why you're willing to fight for them. So that's the first thing the sword always looks for. And if you don't have that, you can't pick up a sword. Well, you can pick it up, but it won't do anything for you. But that's the main thing. Stuff like courage and athletic ability, all of that is secondary. It's who are you and are you willing to die for someone else? And that's really mostly what the swords care about. And then if somebody uses them wrong, then they'll get shattered or whatever. Good job, Murphy. But other than that,
does that mean Butters is royalty?
What's that?
Does that mean Butters is royalty?
Butters is Jewish. He's descended from the 12 tribes of Israel. He's going to have royalty in his bloodline somewhere. And not only that, but not only that, but really like everybody in the, I think the number is like at 35 or 40% at this point of the people on the planet who have a king in their background somewhere. You know, my family goes back to Charlemagne, you know, so. But
We're running a little low on time. You want to do one?
all right, we're gonna do one more question then, and then we're gonna get out of here. So somebody, how about you right here?
Why Chicago?
Why Chicago?
Because you live in Colorado, it just seems an odd choice.
Well, I mean, I lived in Kansas City for the longest time. I was actually in Oklahoma when I started writing the series. But the answer is my writing teacher, because originally the first draft of the series was set in Kansas City, because that was the town that I knew. And my teacher was like, reads it over, and then she's like, nah, you can't set it in Kansas City. I'm like, why not? She's like, you're already walking close enough to Laurel Hamilton's toes. You need not set your books in Missouri. I said, all right, well, how about we go up the river a couple hours? We'll set it in Chicago. And then she was like, yeah, fine, Chicago, whatever, just not Missouri. But anyway, that's it. Hey, everybody, thank you so much for spending some time with me. And, we're going to get some books on, so I'm going to go up here and get set.